Throughout history, laws have been established to try to contain humanity and keep society in line. With the introduction of the internet, these rules got a bit more complicated. It's easy to live life not knowing that illegal trades are happening every day on the internet, unless you know where to look. My name is Fionn Reilly, and today I'll be talking about the dark web. The dark web is the part of the internet that is not indexed by search engines, meaning it cannot be accessed from Google or Bing. You must get specific programs to get to it. For example, Tor browser. In 2015, a study by Dr. Michael Maguires at the University of Surrey found 2,723 live dark web sites over a Fire Week. A Fire Week being Future Internet Research and Innovation Week, where people design and find programs to help try and make the internet a safer place. During this week, 57% of those websites hosted illicit material. Now, in 2019, that has risen by 20%, and of all listings, excluding those selling drugs, 60% could potentially harm enterprises. Think of anything you want right now, and you could probably find it in this strange place. You can find credit card numbers, all manners of drugs, guns, counterfeit money, stolen subscription credentials like hacked Netflix accounts, and even software that helps you break into other people's computers. And you can buy usernames and passwords. Usually, prices for certain services stay the same. For example, you can buy login credentials to a Bank of America account containing $50,000 for $500. You can buy $3,000 in counterfeit $20 notes for $600. And you can even buy a lifetime Netflix account for around $6. Dr. Michael Maguire's report identified different tools or services that could present a risk in the form of a network breach or data compromise. For example, infection or attacks including malware, which is a software that is specifically designed to disrupt, damage, or gain unauthorized access to a computer system. DDoS attacks, which are distributed denial of service attacks. Access to unauthorized areas, using things like remote access trojans, also known as rats. There are a lot more tools that could be used, which each go out and try to devalue an enterprise, which could include such things like undermining brand trust, reputational damage, and losing ground to a competitor. They try to disrupt the enterprise, which can include DDoS attacks or other malicious malware that would affect business operations. They could also try defrauding the enterprise, which can include IP theft or espionage that impairs a company's ability to compete or causes a direct financial loss. Accessing the deep web, surprisingly, isn't very hard, and anyone with some sort of PC could manage to access it. Accessing the dark web requires the use of an anonymizing browser called Tor. The Tor browser routes your web page's requests through a series of proxy servers operated by thousands of volunteers around the globe, rendering your IP address unidentifiable and untraceable. The only downside is that it's unpredictable, unreliable, and extremely slow. I wouldn't recommend going into the dark web, as the entire platform is unstable as hell. Again, normal search engines will not show results from the deep web, so there are many alternatives. One of the best and well known is called grams, but it can often give results that are repetitive and often irrelevant to the query. Alternatively, you can find things called linked lists. The most well known one in the deep web is called the hidden wiki. They often come up with timed out connections and 404 errors though, because of the websites constantly changing. Each dark website ends in .onion, a special use top-level domain suffix designating an anonymous hidden service reachable via the Tor network. Dark websites use a scrambled naming structure that creates URLs that are often impossible to remember. Websites often set up by scammers who constantly move around and can suddenly disappear if the owner decides to cash in and flee. Law enforcement officials are getting better at finding owners of the sites that sell illicit goods and materials. In summer 2017, a team of cyber cops from 3 countries successfully shut down AlphaBuy, the dark web's longest source of contraband, sending shutters throughout the network. Tor network is vulnerable to distributed denial of service attacks, DDoS attacks, as I mentioned earlier, so websites are constantly changing addresses to avoid such attacks. Buying things in the dark web can be difficult at times. You're not going to use your normal credit card because then the bank will see it and you'll have the cops on you in no time. You can use cash in person sometimes if you want, but that can be very, very risky. So one thing that is always prominent in the dark web is cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency enables 2 parties to conduct a trusted transaction without knowing each other's identity. Nearly all dark web commerce sites conduct transactions in Bitcoin or some variant of cryptocurrency, but it still isn't safe. There are still a lot of scammers and thieves, especially because everything is anonymous. Sites still have ratings, shopping carts, forums, but they also have differences, like quality control. Quality control usually attracts more customers to each website, showing that each profit that they've made has been legit and they haven't scammed people out of their money. The large question at hand is it illegal? You're probably thinking of it right now, and I've come to tell you that no, the deep web isn't illegal. You've got to remember that people usually use the Tor browser to access the deep web. The Tor browser 100% isn't illegal. All it does is make you anonymous on the internet. Big companies usually invest into it, and there's different volunteers around the globe, as I mentioned before, that help make the Tor browser work. People living in environments that are hostile to free speech would usually use the deep web to try to communicate with each other via different messaging platforms or things like that. Obviously, there's a section of the deep web called the dark web, which is the general term given to every website that hosts illicit material. So that could be hitmen, or selling drugs, selling contraband, or selling illegal things. That's illegal, obviously, because they're selling illegal substances. But anything else on the deep web, within legal reason, is legal. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, I'd like to inform you that I would not recommend going on the deep web, because even though you might feel safe, and even though you're using the Tor browser, or you have different restrictions on your PC, you never know if you're really safe. The internet is changing all the time, and so is technology. People will come up with ways to try to break these services, and they have before, so what's to stop them doing it now? Thank you for listening to my podcast on the deep web. I've been slightly terrified of the internet after making this, and I hope that you will be too. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.